Hello, my name is Michelle Gomez, and I will be presenting to you the subject matter of stress in work in ethical terms. This presentation will cover some of the key areas of stress in work, what's causing stress at work, and some of the ways that employers can fight against this, as well as ourselves, some of the personal changes we can make in order to fight this chronic issue. Now, stress in work. There is certainly some value in stress when stress keeps us on our toes when we're about to do a presentation like today, when you're meeting a deadline or you're coming up on a very important project. But when stress starts to become chronic and it starts to affect your personal health and wellness, that's when the matter needs to be reviewed and possible changes in your work-life balance need to occur. Workplace stress versus normal stress. Now, normal stress at home and workplace stress are one thing, but like I said, when it becomes chronic, then it needs to be addressed. We're going to discuss some of the occupational climate changes that have added to the stress problem in America, some of the common causes of stress in the workplace, the effects of stress in our bodies and our minds, how stress employees and ethical dilemmas are intertwined. What are some of the results and concerns that we need to look after in that area? We're going to go over some stress management training and some of the benefits that employees have gained from this sort of training in the workplace, the importance and practices of creating balance, and finally, the statistics around stress and work and why this is an area that we simply cannot ignore. Now, the occupational climate. Truly, there's tons of changes occurring year to year on our home front as well as in the workplace. Now, certainly the home family dynamics have changed quite a bit in recent years. There's more women in the workforce. There's more women pursuing their personal, academic, and career goals. And in doing that, they have to really balance out the expectation of them at home. We have a lot of working moms in corporate America today that are helping carry the load at home while still trying to maintain a well-managed home life and rearing their children. And also men are taking a larger role in the home. They're not solely the financial providers anymore, but they're doing a lot more with the children and helping carry the load at home as well, which is great. So that is what's going on in the home front. Now, as far as changes in technology, we have smartphones, laptops, tablets, and hyperconnectivity is now an area of concern. And so with this added technology, unfortunately, comes added stress, as we now have multiple areas of connectivity that are drawing our attention away from the key area of focus we could be working on at that time. Remote accessibility comes with all these changes in technology. You're never off the clock. You can log on from an airport terminal, from a Starbucks, pretty much anywhere that has Wi-Fi connectivity. And now Wi-Fi connectivity is available via hotspots on your personal phones and tablets. And so that really just adds to the hyperconnectivity problem we have in today's workload. And finally, overworked meaning successful. This is a common myth that I think a lot of people put on themselves, the pressure of as long as I'm overworked and I'm not sleeping enough and I'm not eating enough, then that means my career is just on an upstride. And we really need to change that mentality and that thought process because it's really only going to lead to one thing, burnout. And that's not going to be good for anyone, the employer or the employee. Common causes of stress in the workplace. Now, this is not all of them, but these are common key points of stress in the workplace. Low salaries. I mean, when you're not making enough money to support your family, that can add so much stress to people trying to maintain their homes and raise families. So it's no surprise there that a low salary really can create a lot of stress around your life. Excessive workloads, too much work, too much out of balance of time spent on work situations and work tasks. There's few opportunities for growth or advancement. That could be tremendously frustrating if you're a very driven person trying to show your work ethic and earn an opportunity for advancement and it's just not there. that can create a lot of stress for yourself on a day-to-day. Work that isn't engaging or challenging. Now that's on the latter side of that, few opportunities for growth and advancement. If your work just isn't engaging to you anymore and you don't find interest in it and it's not something that you find excitement in anymore, then you start to question whether this is the right path for you, if this is the right employer for you. And that level of uncertainty and questioning your own decisions can create a level of stress that can take away your sleep and create headaches and things like that. Lack of support. If your leadership or your management is not providing you the tools, the resources, or the team support that you need in order to be successful in your role, that's a stress causer. Lack of control over job-related decisions. And we could be talking about everything from layoffs to changes in hours to changes in benefits. And when someone feels that they don't have control over these decisions, but yet these decisions are imposed on that person, stress. Conflicting demands and unclear performance expectations. When there's multiple deadlines thrown your way and there's really no way, a reasonable way to achieve all of them within a considerable amount of time, and there's no real clear direction on how you're going to achieve these expectations, the stress really, and that's really goes back to the lack of support too. So this is all common threads of stress. Bullying and harassment, unfortunately, does occur at the workplace. Abusive and intimidating behavior that could be anything from physical threats, false accusations, profanity, insults, ignoring someone, unreasonableness. This is all just a lack of civility. And so when someone feels that they are being bullied in the workplace, it could be stressful, even driving into work, knowing that this is the environment that someone has to work in. Bullying then also leads to harassment, areas of harassment that cause stress when someone feels threatened or belittled, verbally abused, overly criticized, all encompassing of a hostile environment. And unfortunately, these areas can lead to psychologically damaging results for an employee, which is a common stress provider. And lack of personal balance, which is what has been resonating throughout this presentation so far. When we lack balance in taking care of ourselves and our families and enjoying life, and we spent 90% of our time and our energy on work, this is going to create a stress due to burnout that's eventually going to come. Now, the effects of stress for short-term and chronic are a little bit different, but still important to note. Short-term effects of stress are headaches, stomach aches, sleep disturbances, short temper, difficulty concentrating. These are short-term effects because these are things that can be remedied pretty quickly with over-the-counter medication or making sure that you change your sleep patterns and focusing on ways to reduce your temper or control your temper. And making sure to turn off any sort of disturbances that could keep you away from concentrating on a particular task. Now, the chronic effects of stress are a little bit more serious. Anxiety, insomnia, high blood pressure, and weakened immune system. This is where medical intervention, psychological intervention is required because it's going to take assistance from someone with a medical background to help you figure out what's going on and how you're going to tackle these areas because they've now reached a chronic level of stress, and this is not something you can normally manage on one's own, and it's going to take some assistance. Warning signs of chronic stress. Now this is some of the things that I'm going to talk about here are things that are maybe become common to some people, but they are warning signs of a chronic issue potentially coming. Feeling anxious and irritable or depressed. Depression is clearly onset of a problem that needs to be addressed, and one cannot work long-term under a depressing headspace, and so it's really important to focus on that and figure out how we're going to pull through that. Apathy, loss of interest in the job, it's just no longer exciting to you, and you're just going through the motions. Trouble sleeping, of course, we mentioned earlier. Fatigue is a big one. If you're tired and you're not rested, that affects your creativity. It affects attendance. It affects the ability to handle multiple issues at once, and it's a problem if you're not giving yourself enough time to rest up and recharge. Trouble concentrating, and there's just multiple distractions all around us in our workplace, on our phones with all of our hyperconnectivity. And so when you have trouble concentrating, even with all of that other exterior issues sort of addressed, then it's become a chronic problem. Muscle tension or headaches, that is an issue that occurs very, very common with warning signs of chronic stress. Stomach problems, social withdrawal, really socially withdrawing from your life and your family and your friends. It's an indicator of depression and a warning sign for sure. Loss of sex drive, which nobody wants to experience, especially if you have an active personal life, a love life, you're married. It could affect your marriage, could affect your home life, could affect the relationship you're in, all because of work. And is it really worth it? Finally, using alcohol or drugs to cope. Unfortunately, this is very common. People who are struggling with chronic stress sort of take a break mentally from all of the worries that they have by abusing alcohol or drugs to help deal and just cope with what's going on. And so this is also not a long-term solution. This is a temporary solution that would potentially have not a personal, but a long-term effect. If it becomes an issue to where now people are going to work the next day hungover or with residual feelings of the drug or alcohol that they were consuming the night before, this could affect your performance at work. So these are just warning signs. It may seem like, oh, I'm just having a drink here or there, or I'm just taking this right now just to deal with the migraine I've been getting from thinking about this project. Consistent consumption and abuse of these items will create a problem in the long term. Could even cost you your job if you're not careful. Now, stress and ethical dilemmas. It's an area of concern because people who are struggling with chronic stress can lack the ability to make ethical decisions if they don't have the energy to even think productively or creatively or objectively in a manner, and when they're trying to make a decision or manage through a dilemma. The result of pressure, workload, and an emphasis on merit for advancement in the organization can cause ethical stress. If somebody's just really driven and they just really want that promotion, or they really want the credit for a certain project or a certain important task that's on their hands, this could really create an ethical stress on themselves if they're pressured in that way. Employees experience stress when asked to do something that they consider wrong or unethical. I think we would all agree that when we are being placed between a rock and a hard place and forced to do something that is against our moral compass, it can create stress because you consider what the possible repercussions would be if you don't follow through with that request. Stress due to fear as a result of increased turnover. If you're noticing many of your colleagues are being terminated because they are not performing, or they're not doing the tasks to which they're asked to do because it goes against their moral compass, and you fear that same fate, this could add stress. And finally, stressed employees may struggle to make well thought out ethical decisions in their current state. And it speaks to the value of creating a balanced and healthy lifestyle, because if one is not rested, happy, and really has the energy to deal with the demands of their work, they're not going to be able to perform in tip-top shape, and that could result in some poorly made decisions. Fortunately, some organizations that are pretty well noted in the industry have seen the value of stress management training and have started to incorporate these practices in their organizations. The benefits of stress management training are an increase in attendance, increased morale, improved morale, Happy employees, better bottom lines because now everybody's got full engagement on what's going on. Decreased turnover, decreased medical claims on the insurance because people are living a more balanced lifestyle, and also just a better interpersonal relationships between leadership and employees themselves, as they have more room to sort of be happy and voice their opinions and speak up about areas of concern. So current users of stress management trainings are the U.S. Army, GE, NASA, and Nokia, just to name a few. Some of these training courses go over things like the understanding and communicate more to be able to understand and communicate more sensitively with others without denying or sacrificing your own feelings. Enhance resiliency to meet challenges and recover more quickly from adversity. Work under pressure with greater calmness and clarity of mind. Dramatically reduce stress with clinically proven breathing and relaxation techniques that can be done in just a few moments. Achieve significant relief from chronic pain, high blood pressure, insomnia, and many other stress-related conditions, which we mentioned in prior slides are indicators of chronic stress. Enhance personal productivity, focus the mind where you want it to go to achieve results more quickly and effectively. And finally, increase the ability to concentrate amidst 24/7 hyperconnectivity and distraction, which is also something we mentioned in a prior slide as part of the change in the corporate climate. Now, all of this leads to the importance of creating balance. In efforts to battle work-related stress, it is so important to achieve a healthy work-life balance. It's important to understand what your triggers are. What are some of the things that trigger the stress and anxiety in your work life? Start a journal. And this journal will help you identify and track your stressors. It'll help you understand what sort of things or conflicts or subject matters tend to create a level of anxiety in you that adds to stress or creates stress. And this way, when you encounter those subject matters, you're cognizant of what's to come or what your physical reaction will be to them and can work around those situations so that you react in a more productive manner. Develop healthy habits, exercise, hobbies, quality time with those you love. Maybe control your food intake, but make healthier choices, and try to reduce your caffeine intake throughout the day. It's okay to have a cup or two in the morning, but when you're having 5-6 cups in a day and even at night, it's going to be very difficult for you to wind down. And finally, sleep. Sleep is tremendously important. At least 7 hours of sleep is ideal, and really prepare yourself to sleep. Just like you prepare yourself for work in the morning, you brush your teeth, you get your suit ready, you brush your hair, and you pack up everything in your briefcase or backpack and head out. The same emphasis should be placed on sleep. Get the temperature right in your room, comfortable clothing, no looking at electronics for 30 minutes. Try to not watch too much TV at night. Create an environment where you can fall into sleep and just really enjoy your sleep for a good 6.5-7 hours. Establish boundaries. Now, work and family and personal life, you need to establish a boundary. It could be just starting small, like not checking your phone over dinner with your family, not looking at your emails after 6 p.m. Monday through Friday, not looking at your emails or taking work calls over the weekend. I know for many of you, you may be cringing at the thought, but trust me, this is an important boundary to develop for yourself so that you can not only create some boundaries, but actually be mindful and present with your family and your loved ones and in your hobbies and in your fun times, whatever you do for fun. It's important for you to enjoy those moments because this is what's going to create the recharge setting for you to be aware, ready to go on Monday morning. Take time to recharge. Avoid hyperconnectivity if you can. Turn off your notifications on your phones. Don't look at your phone as every 5 minutes if you could just kind of control how often you look at it. But really, if you have an iPad, a phone, and a laptop, stick to one. If you're out and about, try not to have all three on you going off in your car as you're going from appointment to appointment. Plan for fun weekends. Make it a point to have a date night planned or have a family time planned or take a dance class or go visit a park, go for a hike, whatever it is, but plan for something fun. This gives you something to look forward to so that you're not overly consumed with work on Friday afternoon. Don't let your vacation days go to waste. Use them. Even if you're planning a staycation, doesn't mean you have to be going on a flight and leaving the country or the state for it to be a vacation. A vacation is where you make it. Just don't use those vacation days. Use them because they're beneficial to your mental state. It's important to learn to relax. And everyone has something that relaxes them. It could be reading a book. It could be breathing exercises. It could be meditation, yoga. But all of these things lead to mindfulness. It's just being present in that time with no judgment and just allowing yourself to sit and just be in that time without, oh, I should be doing this or I should be doing that more, finding better ways to use your time productively. But it's okay to just take a few moments or take a day to just decompress. And so whatever it is that causes you to relax, do that. Talk to your supervisor. And it's important to have an open dialogue on stress with your supervisor. And this meeting should be productive. It shouldn't be, this is my list of complaints, and this is what I need from you in order for me to be healthy mentally. But it's more of addressing the matter with proposed solutions. You can propose certain seminars or stress training that could benefit everyone, but also explain to your supervisor, these are some of the things that I think would help me. If it's changing your workspace, if it's changing your hours, if it's adding staff support so that there's an even distribution of the workload. These are solutions that an employer should be able to hear out if it presented in a productive manner, constructively, so that there's back and forth communication, ideas being shared, but ultimately I'm sure even your supervisor could appreciate mental health for themselves and their employees. And finally, get some support. Ask for help from trusted friends and family. Explain to them your need for balance, and sometimes their support is really going to be the driving force. If it be a parent who helps with the children because you want to change your work hours, if it means asking a neighbor to pick up your child from school on certain days because you've made an adjustment to your schedule, ask for support. You'd be surprised how much those you love or care for you would be willing to help you, because ultimately everyone wants to have a healthy balance in work and life. So if we help one another, it's achievable. Now, all of this is unfortunately the result of some pretty scary statistics. The stress and work situation is a problem in America, and it needs to be addressed. These are some of the statistics explained by the American Association of Psychology. The main causes of stress of these 4 areas. And as you will notice, almost 50% of that is workload. And going back to the discussion that we recommend you have with the supervisor, this workload being a major problem, when you have proposed solutions of, divvying up the task among people, this could help reduce that stress. Lack of job security. That 6% relates to the lack of control over decisions that I mentioned earlier. People issues. That relates back to the unproductive or hostile environment of bullying and harassment that all lead to psychological damages in a person. So it's no wonder that 28% of the stressors relate to people issues. And only 20% is juggling work and personal lives, which is pretty sad, because that means out of all these statistics and all these people studied, only 20% were actually struggling with the idea or the practices of trying to juggle both. And it should be more. More than 20% of us should be striving to create a balance for ourselves. Other statistics that were encountered while doing the study were just these here, just to name a few. 65% of workers said that workplace stress had caused difficulties, and more than 10% described these as having major effects, which could lead to those chronic and health issues that we mentioned earlier. 29% had yelled at coworkers because of workplace stress. 14% said they work where machinery or equipment had been damaged because of workplace rage. Pretty scary. And 2% admitted that they had actually personally struck someone. 62% routinely find that they end the day with work-related neck pain. 44% reported stressed out eyes. 38% complained of hurting hands, and 34% reported difficulty in sleeping because they were too stressed out. I'm sure many of us have heard these statistics before, have heard our coworkers or our supervisors or managers complain about some of these physical attributes of stress. I won't go over all the statistics, but finally, over half said they often spend 12-hour days on work-related duties, and an equal number of frequently skip lunch because of the stress of job demands. Skipping lunch is just not a good thing, and it's not a good practice. Our body needs substance, our body needs energy, and really is the deadline that important to sacrifice our own physical health? Now, in order to battle this and really change the structure of the workplace, we need to change the face of success. This myth of being overworked equaling success, that's not something we should live up to or strive to live up to. Burnout should not equal success. Burnout should be an indicator that there's a problem and we need to make some changes. Employers need to value and encourage a healthy work and life balance. It's going to benefit them. If your employees are happy, healthy, and energized and creative, then you reap the benefits. Giving them time to leave early for field trips or take a day off to attend an award ceremony or be involved with the softball league or things like that. This is something that creates a livelihood in their experience as a working parent or working person. I mean, even hobbies, if you enjoy dancing or you enjoy music or, you need to take your vacations and enjoy that stuff, then employers need to really encourage that because it does benefit them. The person will come back recharged, reaffirmed in their life, and they are ready to take on the day and take on the tasks in an amicable manner. And this is just something that when I see employers who don't value this or see that as somebody being lazy or unproductive, it's very discouraging because it's the opposite. Women should be allotted the support needed to perform at work and at home. There should be no negative connotation for women taking the time that they need to not only perform their tasks, but also do well at home and in their personal endeavors. This is not a new concept. Sheryl Sandberg, Ariana Huffington, Brene Brown, these women have written tremendous books on this subject matter, and it all relates to the support and acceptance of women being able to do both and do it well. Men should experience less pressure as they are no longer the only financial providers. They now have partners and are part of a team. And in doing that they not only do their part at work, but at home as well. Help with the dishes, help with the laundry, pick up the kids from school, things like that. It should be a team environment. Just as you wouldn't expect a woman to do any less at work than she does at home, then a man should be expected to carry the same level of workload and assistance. Many hands make the load light. So really, the team environment, throw out those gender roles, and in the face of success at home and work will change. Finally, success equals the ability to manage life in a manner to which no one can really tell if you're working or playing. Find the energy and wonder to enjoy both and thrive in each role wholeheartedly. Living a wholehearted life, really enjoying everything you're doing, wherever you're doing it, who you're doing it with, just be present and engaging in what's going on. It will really elevate the standard of life that you're living and help really fight that stress, that chronic stress that so plagues our current state. I wanted to share this quote with you by James A. Michener. It sort of encompasses the driving thought of this presentation. The master in the art of living draws no sharp distinction between his work and his play, his labor and his leisure, his mind and his body, his education and his recreation. He hardly knows which is which. He simply pursues his vision of excellence through whatever he is doing and leaves others to determine whether he is working or playing. To himself, he always seems to be doing both. I hope that takeaway is something of an illustration of what it will take to really thrive and be a wholehearted person, a living being in corporate America, and how we need to fight this burnout because it's just simply not sustainable long term. These are some of the references I used in completing this assignment. Should you have any questions or comments, please feel free to send them to me. I'd be happy to address them and answer them as best as possible. But as I hope you noticed from my presentation, I'm very passionate about this subject matter. I read up on it and chronicle it very much. I am a survivor of work stress and burnout, and I can attest to the benefits of practicing a balanced lifestyle. Thank you very much for the opportunity to present this to you. Have a great rest of your day.